A new study shows people living in rural areas don't necessarily watch TV preachers more than city dwellers. That study breaks the stereotypes of viewers' habits. Stephen Winzenburg joins us bright and early this morning. He is nationally recognized televangelism expert. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks. It's a pleasure.
Tell us about the study and what it means.
Well, I categorized the top 100 cities in the United States by who watches the most religious broadcasting, and was very surprised to find out that Washington, D.C. came out on top. I was surprised because I don't consider Washington, D.C. a particularly religious area, or it certainly doesn't fit the stereotype of the type of area that would watch religious broadcasting. I would say there are probably two reasons for Washington, D.C. being on top. First of all, it's got a high black population, and blacks do tend to watch more religious broadcasting. Secondly, because of the fact that people in Washington tend not to go to churches often, maybe they make up for that by watching religious broadcasting. Maybe they use the electronic church as their Sunday morning service. Other cities in the top 10, as you just saw, included Atlanta and Houston and Dallas, and those are pretty typical. We kind of expect that. But at the same time, Detroit is there in the top 10. And who expected Detroit?
Okay, what about the lowest levels?
On the bottom, surprisingly enough, the top one on the bottom of the list is Salt Lake City. Now, we kind of think of Utah as being a very religious area, and maybe that's the reason why they're not interested in TV preachers, because they spend a lot of their time in church, and so they don't have to watch the Sunday morning services. You'll also notice that on the list is El Paso, Texas. It's third from the bottom, basically, and that contradicts the fact that Dallas and Houston are on the top of the list, so there are contradictions in it.
Okay. What prompted you to do a study like this?
I've studied TV preachers for 10 years. I did my master's thesis on Jim Bakker at the University of Minnesota, and that was 8 years ago. And ever since then, I've been studying different aspects of TV preachers. Okay,
let's talk about Jim Bakker. He was just sentenced, was it last week?
Yeah.
And what do you think of the sentence that he received?
I think it was very fair. I know a lot of people have been getting on TV saying that they think it's too harsh. I think it's fair considering the large number of people who were affected by his fraud. If a person commits a rape or a murder, yes, that's a terrible crime, but it usually happens to one or two people. Jim Bakker took advantage of hundreds of thousands of people when he committed his crimes, and I think that the sentencing is fair.
Mm-hmm. When you wrote your thesis 8 years ago, did you think that this was going to happen to Jim Bakker?
No, I actually didn't. I just thought that nobody really cared that much for Jim Bakker, and nobody cared that much about my thesis until the PTL scandal broke. But now I certainly saw the seeds of fraud at that time.
Okay. Thanks for being with us, Steve.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more of the TV8 Morning News in just a moment.